Hey, what's happening? I've been wanting to come on and share this since last week, but I'm just kind of like catching my breath. Last week was an absolute whirlwind in a great way. So the week ended with my homecoming down at Elizabeth City State University, Viking Pride. But I also had earlier in the week a couple of speaking engagements back to back, and it was the most gratifying and rewarding week that I've had in a long time. Um, just because a lot of things kind of came to a head at the same time, and it just was food and fuel for my soul. So if you caught the title of this video, it's what a high school freshman taught me about life last week. And so I had two speaking engagements back to back, one on Tuesday, one on Wednesday. So Tuesday, I was at my alma mater, ECSU. I had been invited to speak on a panel about women in small business in recognition of National Women in Small Business Month. So I was invited to speak and participate in that panel, which was amazing. And then I had also been invited to speak to high school freshmen at my high school. And that just so happened to be the very next day. So, I was on the road between North Carolina and my hometown, Hampton, Virginia, making it all happen. If you happen to be here with me live, do me a favor and say hey D so that I know that you're here. And if you happen to catch the replay, say hey D as well, and I'll come back through and show you some love. But that being said, so I spoke at my high school on last Wednesday, and I spoke to there was a number of freshmen, but they were broken up into different classrooms, and they tried to align the speakers, because it was myself and some other alumni that came back to speak, and they tried their best to align the speakers in our professions with the interests of the freshmen in the freshman academy, because they are looking to start, planning like what's next, but starting now as freshmen, which is a great approach, right? Like if you know what you want to do what it takes to align yourself with that starting now, to increase the probability of you achieving the success that you desire. So I was put in a class with students who didn't quite know. I would say most of the students didn't quite know what it is that they wanted to do once they graduated, right? They weren't sure what they wanted to do with their life. They're still trying to figure it out. And I think that's fair as a freshman, right? It's like, okay, you enter high school and like now it's like this is where the rubber meets the road. You start thinking about what's next. The first thing was getting into high school. Now I'm in high school. Okay, like what's next? So I'm there and I go in and I share my spiel, and I talk to them about anything is possible. Like that was the theme of what I shared with them. Anything is possible. And I just shared my story. I graduated high school at 16. The day before my 17th birthday, I was skipped when I was younger, so I was always a year ahead. So I shared that. I went to college, basically got 2 degrees for free. Anything is possible. Landed my internship with the FBI. I started, then stayed on board working with the FBI as an analyst for 12 years. Anything is possible, and I share highlights of my journey, and until I took the leap into full-time entrepreneurship. Again, anything is possible. So speaking to them not only as from my experience and sharing my journey and being a testament to the fact that anything is possible, I also bring my expertise as a coach and as a life coach. And so it's interesting to me just how things resonated with the scholars. I'll call them the young scholars. And so when I finished speaking, of course, I opened it up for questions. And one of the young ladies, she raised her hand and she said, well, I'm having a hard time balancing a lot of things that I have going on. And I'm like, okay, tell me more. What do you mean? So she said, I'm an athlete. I'm a student athlete. I'm a student athlete. And, I work a job. And it's really hard for me to balance everything. And I don't know what else to do. And I'm like, okay, now she's speaking my language. We were meant to have this conversation today. And so the question that I asked her was, well, in the times in between what you are doing when you're being a student athlete, when you're being a student, and when you're working, like, what are you doing in the time in between those things? Because you're not doing all three all the time. And I honestly forget what she said to me, but what I told her was that she was going to ultimately have to start saying, she was going to have to learn how to say no, right? Because she mentioned to me that one thing she mentioned was that, like, her boss would often ask her to pick up more hours, to stay longer. And of course, that eats up into her, probably like her homework time or her study time and all of the things, right? So I'm like, yeah, you're going to have to learn how to say no. And I said, you probably won't be able to say it as bluntly as I just said it to you, relationship management. I said, but you're going to have to learn how to be more selfish with your time and prioritize you. Because if you want to do all the things, you can, but that means that there's going to be some sacrifice in some spaces. So kicking it with your homegirls, you might not be able to kick it with them as often until you do what's most important for you. Because when you show up powerfully and you put yourself first, you get the results that you want. And not only are you happy, but everybody that loves and supports you is happy as well. So in having that conversation with her, like, the thing that she taught me just by asking me that question is that it's like, my goodness, people, adults, career professionals, mid-career professionals, and entrepreneurs that I have the pleasure of speaking to in strategy sessions, that I have the pleasure and the honor of actually coaching, they come with that same type of energy, that same type of problem. And that's something that's a barrier. It's just like, I have all of these balls in the air that I'm juggling, whether you're a full-time entrepreneur, whether you are, the dualpreneur balancing or juggling a 9-to-5 and a business, whether you're that mid-career professional that's balancing work, home life, your civic duties, all of the things. It never ends. And so that's something that can start early for high achievers, especially if you're a young high achiever, if you're a young go-getter. And if you don't learn that lesson early, and if you didn't get that advice early on in life, it can be a recurring theme until you finally get it. Until you finally realize that, yeah, you can save the day with the S on your chest with one hand tied behind your back, blindfolded, but at what expense? The expense is you. It's to your own detriment until you learn how to position yourself and your time and your energy in a way that makes sure you put your mask on first, that makes sure that the things that are most important to you get handled and fulfilled and served first. And sometimes, really honestly, a lot of times, that's going to mean saying no to other things and other people. And they might not like it, and that's okay. But the thing that taught me about, like, life, and it was just so interesting, her being so young and having that same dilemma that I'm hearing people 2 and almost 3 times her age have the same issue. And it's just like, my goodness, I would love to be a fly on the wall for her journey, just to see how that piece of advice plays into how she shows up and how she serves herself, right? How she prioritizes things. I would love to be able to see that. But I say all that to say that is something that is a recurring issue, a recurring theme for my high achieving go-getters, like my mid-career professionals, that are used to just willing and dealing and getting it done, but seemingly effortlessly. My entrepreneurs, whether you're part-time or full-time, it's just like, and for my entrepreneurs specifically, entrepreneurship is a beast. Full-time entrepreneurship is a beast, and it's you get pulled so many different ways, and if we're not careful, we will end up being burned out, and then you start feeling unfulfilled, and you start to feel jaded, and you're frustrated, and you're overwhelmed, and you don't want to do anything. And I'm sure for my career professionals, you feel the same way as well, right? And it's a vicious cycle. But one of the ways to chin check it is to learn how to say no. However you go about saying no, that's your business. But knowing that you gotta say no sometimes, and it is selfish, right? But sometimes you have to be. I say all this to say my shift experience is coming up in, I guess it's 2 weeks now, on Wednesday, November the 2nd. And I am taking a few good go-getters on a journey of getting clear about what's next for you in this next season. Getting clear about what you need to shed in order to step powerfully into this next season. To claim what's yours. You know that there is something, that there is more to life than what you're experiencing. You know that there's more to it than like the overwhelm, the frustration, the feeling like you're being pulled 75 different ways and you're just one person. You know there's more to it than you being the go-to for all the things, for all the people, in all the ways. And like, you're like, enough is enough. In this season, you are looking to put you first and do what makes your heart smile, and unapologetically. And so in the shift experience, I am going to be taking you on a journey to help you do just that. If you know you're not showing up as powerfully as you know that you can and you have the potential to, if you feel like you've lost your zeal, if you know like this can't be life, there's more to life than what you're currently experiencing. If you know that you're like on the hamster wheel keeping somebody else's lights on and you're done, like you no longer want that to be your story, and you really want to lean into that nudge that you have in your gut, that there is more out there for you, even if you're scared, even if you don't know what it looks like right now, even if you know that it may require you making a decision that might be unpopular, that defies the status quo, that you might not have a lot of buy-in with right away. It's okay. I'm taking you on this journey to equip you with getting clear about what it is that you want, what it is that you desire, who it is that you need to become in doing that, right? And putting together a plan for you to actually leave the intensive, leave the experience, and go do just that. It's about you getting clear and mustering up the confidence, finding the confidence to do the thing or things that you get clear about in the shift experience. So if your inner imposter has been having its way with you, listen, give it 2 weeks. Give it 2 weeks until you show up to the shift experience. I got something for it, okay? Tell your inner imposter whatever you need to tell it, okay? Put it on notice. You got 2 weeks, because the journey that I take you on in the experience helps you shed a chin check. Let me put it this way: chin check your inner imposter, who's been rearing its head for a while now, right? Because you've gotten away from who you are, and there's some things that need to shift in order for you to get clear about what's next, in order for you to lean into what's possible and go out here and get what's yours, and align. If you're out of alignment, realign with your purpose. And if you've never thought about your purpose, to do the work to get clear about what your purpose is and align with that. Because I know that you want to have an impact. I know that you want to do something different. You don't want to just make a change, right? And only feel the way you feel now in 90 days, 6 months, or a year. It's just like, no, whatever you do next, you want to be intentional about it. You want to make an impact. You want to love what it is that you do, but you also want to use your gifts, your God-given gifts, to do it. And when you align in that way, it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like work. You get to love what it is that you spend the most of your time doing. And so, but what I know is that if you're not in that space now, and if you've been toiling, if you've been kind of like clawing at possibility, and like maybe even clawing your eyes out because you're so frustrated and overwhelmed, your mental health is being jeopardized, you're tired, like your light, your inner light has dimmed, I got you. Like, I created this just for you. Meet me there. The link it should be on the screen. It's definitely in the, it's in the, I guess it's in the comments here. But meet me there. Tap that link, grab your seat. It's going to be an intimate affair. I don't allow an exorbitant number of people to attend. There's something powerful about it being a smaller group, and I intend on keeping it that way. So if any of what I said resonated with you, tap that link. Don't think twice about it. Don't let your inner imposter talk you out of it, because that's what happens. Maybe feeling like, oh, I don't need that, I can figure it out. But if you could, you would have by now. And you probably can, but again, at what cost? More time than you really want to give. Like, at what cost? At the end of the day, the choice is yours. You know, my clients will tell you, I always say, you always get to choose, but just make sure you own your decision. Make sure you make decisions that you won't have regrets about. Okay. So like I said, if any of that resonated with you, I created the Shift Experience just for you. So at this point, it's up to you to tap in, to lean in, to do it scared. You don't have to have everything figured out to work with me in any capacity. That's actually backwards thinking, but I hear it a lot. So I feel the need to say that, like, oh, I'm not ready, I gotta go get my stuff together. If you had everything together, you wouldn't need to work with me, right? And so if you I'm pretty sure you've been trying to figure this thing out, right? Probably been wrecking your brain. You don't have many people that you can talk about the big dream or dreams that you've been having, like your daydreams, the vision that you have, because most people won't understand. And I get that too, which is why I've created the spaces that I've created for go-getters just like you. It's a safe space for you to think big, for you to dream big, for you to do what's unconventional, for you to do what's unpopular, for you to defy the status quo, and for you to do it confidently. I got the blueprint. I'm giving it to you. All you got to do is say yes to yourself, treat yourself, lean into what's possible, and just show up for yourself. And I got you. Meet me there, and I got you. All right. So again, the link is in the comments. Go there, grab your seat, and I'll see you on November 2nd at 6 p.m. Eastern. Later.